Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. As you can see, this is my dog right here, Millie. She's being sweet right now. So I wanted to return to you for an album review. Sorry, she's had something in her eye. For We Came as Romans, All is Beautiful Because We're Doomed. Yeah, she's smelling my mouth or whatever, so yeah. So it's the new record by We Came as Romans, the long-awaited studio album we've been waiting for since April of 2025. Also, No Rest for the Dreamer and Culture Moon kind of announced this record. I think it was No Rest for the Dreamer that was the single that announced this record's announcement and when it's coming out. So, I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the 13 tracks on this 41-minute record and let you know my thoughts on We Came as Romans' follow up to Dark Bloom, All is Beautiful Because We're Doomed. So let's dive into this album review. Now, it starts with the title track, All is Beautiful, just the All is Beautiful part. The last song is the Because We're Doomed part. But overall, I think this was an interesting intro track going into the next song, so it's a 5 out of 5. Bad Luck was the next song that it introduces as one of the regular songs, one of the singles. It was the first single for the record, and it's a very good single. I still enjoy this track. I love the breakdowns from Dave Stevens' screaming vocals, and the guitar riffs and drum work breakdowns were really strong in this, so I'm really enjoying this track. It's definitely rocks for sure. It kicks ass. So 5 out of 5. Lake of Fire is a very strong track too. I personally enjoyed this one. I'm giving this a 5 out of 5. I had a good time listening to this track, and the breakdowns in this track were really strong, and just overall, with how the track was sounding, it did fairly well. So 5 out of 5. Red Smoke was a very short one, but really worked for how it sounded. So I really enjoyed Dave Stevens' screaming potential in this one too. So 5 out of 5 goes to this one. It's definitely a favorite. So I really enjoyed this. And then we get the last single, One by One, which was the fifth single that I did review a day or two ago. A day ago, I think, is when I reviewed it, because I didn't get this album till this morning, but I didn't have time to come at you with a review until now because I've just been so busy most of the day outside of YouTube with trying to earn some money. You know how it is. But overall, One by One was a really catchy track. The electronics worked for this track, and definitely go check out my track review for it. It may not be the best audio quality for the track review, but it overall was a very strong track. Dave Stevens' screaming vocals in the chorus some of the time, his shouting screams did fairly well, and overall I think the breakdown in the bridge is pretty strong in the track, so really enjoyed this track. 5 out of 5. Culture Wound was the third single for the record. Very strong song. Really enjoyed this one. It's a 5 out of 5 for sure for this track. I really love this track. Definitely a personal favorite along with the next song. It came out July 9th, I think this song came out. But overall, it did fairly well with the production, the mixing, and Dave Stevens' regular vocals did very well. And his screaming potential was pretty strong too in this track. 5 out of 5. Where Did You Go was the fourth single before you get to the last single, One by One. And it overall did very well for Where Did You Go. Really enjoyed this track for how it sounded. I think Dave Stevens' screaming potential was very strong. Sorry, my cat Titan right over here just did not know what he wanted to do. He's just being silly right now. But overall, I think Where Did You Go had great production work in this track. And overall, with the singing potential from Dave Stevens, was really good. So 5 out of 5. No Rest for the Dreamer is a very strong track. Really enjoyed this as the second single, and this was the single to announce the album's release, and it did very well for how it was performing, and overall Dave Stevens' screaming potential was very strong in this. So 5 out of 5 goes to this track. Bow to the Machine, I believe is how you pronounce this song's name. It's B2TM, Bow to the Machine, is what it's basically representing the song. And overall, it's a very good track. I really enjoyed the breakdowns. I enjoyed the chorus for sure. Very enjoyable track for sure. And Dave Stevens' screaming potential in this is really epic. So 5 out of 5 for this one. I had a good time listening to this track. Circling a Dying Sun. Really good one too. Really enjoyed this one for how it sounded execution-wise and production and all that. And overall, Dave Stevens' singing and screaming potential in this is epic as hell. And this track worked for how it sounded. 5 out of 5. Knowing Pain is a very strong one too. It's kind of like the same sound as Where Did You Go, but it does very well with how it sounds. It at least entertained me, this track, with the chorus. And the verses were very strong with Dave Stevens singing the verses, and the overall chorus shined very well. So 5 out of 5. So Lost, Burning Flowers was where you get to close to the ending of the record, and it does very well for how it sounds. This track is another favorite of mine. So it's going to get a 5 out of 5 for sure for So Lost, Burning Flowers. I really enjoyed this one too. I wasn't sure what I was gonna think of it at first because of how it was sounding. But as I listened to it throughout listening to the record, I gotta say I've enjoyed this track as of coming back to it 2 or 3 times. So 5 out of 5. Because We're Doomed is the closing track to the record. It's almost 4 minutes of a song, but it did very well for how it sounded. And overall, the production, the mixing, and even the kid talking in it, all is beautiful. Because We're Doomed. That was pretty cool for the record, and the overall soundscape of this record was really good, by the way. So 5 out of 5 goes to Because We're Doomed. I really enjoyed that track. It is a personal favorite to close out the record, and Dave Stevens' screaming potential did very well for how it sounded. So overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think as the second album or first album with Dave Stevens, I'm not sure. I know Kyle Malone was with the band until his passing, if I remember correctly, if that was his name. Because may he rest in peace. Kyle Pavone, I meant to say. Said Malone by mistake, so please forgive me on that. Kyle Pavone. He was the original singer, and then Dave Stevens took over. So overall, I think with how this record sounded, I gotta say I'm very impressed. This is probably my personal favorite record from We Came as Romans. It is definitely a great metalcore album. Definitely something to check out to see what you think of it for yourself. We Came as Romans did a very good job with their new album. And I think Kyle Pavone would be really happy to see this record succeed, and the Dark Bloom album too. But overall, I think with how Dark Bloom sounded, so yeah, pretty much I think with how it sounded overall, basically I was just looking into some history behind the band We Came as Romans, so that's what I was doing. All Is Beautiful Because We're Doomed is going to go down as one of my favorite records of 2025. And if I were to give this album a score, I think this was worth the hype, and it's going to get a 10 out of 10, a perfect score. It is such a great record. I enjoyed it from start to finish, and I'm glad they put out a really successful record. This is probably going to be everyone's favorite record of this Friday, along with 3 Days Grace's new album, Alienation, and I just think most of the albums that have come out so far, I've enjoyed. And overall, this record impressed me for how it sounded execution-wise. So, yeah, 10 out of 10, a perfect score goes to We Came as Romans, All is Beautiful Because We're Doomed. I hope you guys enjoyed this long-awaited album review that I was hyping you guys up for until now, till it's close to release date. But I will have more reviews coming out during the night, during tonight. But until then, you guys have a good rest of your late afternoon going into early evening, and I'll catch you guys in my next review. Thanks for watching this album review this late afternoon.